Jesus Christ, that's funny. I'm Ethan Moore. That's Pastor Dwayne Black.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Man. I am I'm here with our friend who's this little guy with me?
That is Rocky.
Rocky.
Yeah, we're videotaping that right now.
Look at
too.
that. Oh, hi.
Put
Let's
that on
just
there?
say hi to our
Say hi to your fans.
video fans over
Hey.
there. Is the camera just pointed at me? I just realized.
Actually, it just is.
What about you?
No one wants to see me. You've got that kind of rock and roll look going, and it's like, okay.
I feel like I put on my sunglasses. I thought it was funny because I feel like one of those morning radio DJs who wear sunglasses in the studio.
Well,
you know?
and you do. You look like one too.
Oh, that's great. That's actually my goal, is to eventually be one of those guys. But I have to go back in time because I'm not sure if those guys still exist.
I think they do.
They kind of do.
Yeah.
I don't think they make $5 million a year or whatever they used to make.
No,
They probably
not
make
at all.
less. Yeah. Look at this dog. What kind of dog is this?
It's it's a mix. It was a rescue dog.
He's such a good dog. He's
Isn't
just
he?
on my
Yeah.
lap here. He's
He'll do that all day now.
He's licking the crook of my arm. Is it true, Pastor? Is it true that all dogs go to heaven?
And yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes.
Which part of the Bible is that in?
It's in Jeremiah. Jeremiah talks
Really?
about that.
Jeremiah.
Yeah.
He's wasn't he kind of like a rough prophet?
He was a very rough
He was
prophet,
always saying terrible things.
He was.
That's why they call it a Jeremiad, right?
That's exactly.
Yeah, when you talk.
Have you have
badly
read
about something.
You have read Jeremiah.
I've read the whole thing, man.
Really?
I mean, I'm sure. It all got in there at some point.
What was it we were talking about last week that we never got around to? We never got the final. What was it?
So the last episode. Wait, so do dogs go to heaven or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. How come that's not in there? There's nothing about dogs in the Bible. Going
No,
to
there
heaven.
isn't. But the understanding of heaven isn't something that you go to. The understanding of heaven is something that you achieve here and now.
Oh, can dogs participate in the kingdom of heaven?
Look at Rocky. He's participating right now.
Right, we've got some love here.
Peaceful, love, caring. This is good stuff.
I can't tell if he wants to get out of my lap. Well, anyway, we'll let him go if he wants. He can stay if he wants. So, yeah, last week we were talking about something I like to call spiritual grit.
Yeah, what is spiritual?
I know. Well, that's a good question because I feel like the episode was titled that, and
Right.
and we sort of danced all around it, and we never actually addressed what it was.
Well, since it's your word.
I know. I made it up, and then why don't I define it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What it comes to your mind when you say spiritual grit?
Well, the concept I was trying to get to is that so I like the topic was that I feel kind of lazy a lot of times.
Right.
Remember
Right.
that? Yeah.
Yep.
So I just feel lazy. Like it's very easy for me to get up in the morning and just do things that are kind of devoted to me.
Right.
You know, so I'll be like, I don't know, like whatever. Maybe I'll just watch TV, or maybe I'll be working on. Maybe I'm working on comedy. Maybe I'm working on something that's important. But it's what strikes me is that it's very hard for me to sometimes to get out there and do something for someone else.
Right.
And that's what, to me, that's what spirituality is all about, is actually like trying to connect to other people.
Right.
And so I can do that sort of through something like working on comedy, or something like that. But okay.
Well, how does that work?
I feel like I'm going to talk all around it, and we're still not going to get to it. Let me try again. So it's very easy. Like a lot of people think spirituality, I think, is like Jesus stuff. Like but what Jesus is like he's meek and mild. So it's like, I'm giving like a caricature here, but it's like, so it's just like, be nice to people, be friendly, don't get in people's way, turn the other cheek, things like that. And to me, those things come very naturally because I want to be liked. I want people to like me. So it's very easy for me to be like, oh yeah, sure, whatever you say, and I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, I have no idea what you mean, but that's okay. Go ahead.
It's very easy for me to do the sort of passive aspects of,
right,
like the example of Jesus.
Right.
Okay. But as far as the active stuff, that's where the spiritual grit comes in for me, and that's where it's hard for me to do it sometimes.
But you do these spiritual things because you're getting something back out of it. People are like you. People think, oh, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
And so it's being done with what in heart?
Well, I don't know. It's just kind of my nature, maybe, and and maybe it's the way I was raised or whatever. But I think I think some people have a hard time with the things that come easily to me, which is like being slow to anger,
right?
And sort of letting other people do their thing.
I've never seen you angry.
Yeah, I don't really get angry. I mean, I can get angry, I guess, but I have a hard time sort of getting angry in the moment and like yelling at it and expressing it, which is true about probably everyone in my family. My mom actually could get angry, but my dad never. My brother and sister just never. Yeah. So, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that
spiritual grit.
Thank you. You're gonna have to keep bringing me on task. So what I'm saying is, like, I think for some people, maybe what they need to do spiritually is to try to be more passive, try to be more accepting of people, more tolerant, things like that. Those things come easy to me. The hard part of spirituality for me is the active part. It's the part where I actually need to get up and work on some stuff.
Okay.
So I need to meditate. I need to pray. I need to try to help someone else. And I need to do all those things, even if I'm not receiving like a direct benefit immediately from it. And that's what grit is, I think, is that you kind of are, you have tenacity. You just keep working towards something because you know it's right, not because it's easy, not because it comes naturally, not because it provides a direct benefit, but because in the long run, you just know it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And that's the part I have a hard time with sometimes is just, it's the same thing we were talking about, like using like habits.
Right.
And it's very easy to get into bad habits, so it's like, okay, I'll just eat the donut, whatever it is. So I think I feel like, I don't know if you hear a lot about that, but I feel like to me, that's the difficult part of spirituality is actually just getting out of bed and planning a day and focusing and making sure that I do these things because they need to be done, not for myself.
There's a rabbi who told a story about this man who wanted a blessing, and the blessing is that he was looking for was this blessing of when I leave a big bundle of wheat out in the field, that I leave it for people who are homeless, people who are in need, people that are widows and orphans and so forth. And he said, but the blessing doesn't come until you get to a point where you forget that you've done it, that you actually do it and you forgot that you have done it, and that's when the blessing comes. Because up until then, you're doing it for a purpose. And then when it becomes such a habit that you just do it, that somebody says, oh, by the way, you left that out in the field. And he's like, now I can receive the blessing.
So it's because he did it for someone else, but then
he did it so many times in a row for the real reason of doing it to get a blessing. So finally he does it out of just sheer habit, that he even forgets that he does it, and therefore he receives blessing. And so that's what's going on with you. Is it when you practice at doing this over and over again, you don't even realize that you don't get angry. You don't even realize that you don't get upset about certain things. You just do it. And so your spiritual grit, I truly believe, is more you rehearse until it becomes a habit.
Okay, that's probably true, is that it's a habit. And, I think that
right.
But I'm saying that I'm not there yet by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I have. The other thing is that, so I got accused of being a narcissist this week again. I get accused of this constantly. On Sex on Kava, on my other podcast, a listener wrote in and called me a narcissist. And
what were you saying prior to the?
Well, some of it was about the thing with May May, who we talked about.
Have you ever talked to her?
I still haven't talked to her. I keep thinking
5 weeks.
I keep thinking I'm going to run into her somewhere. Eventually I'm just going to have to call her. But I've been working through the feelings I feel about the situation with her.
Really?
And yeah, like so for those of you listening, May May left Sex on Kava. She was our news girl, and she left due to basically a conflict with me, which all happened on the air on it was on episode 213, and it was kind of explosive, and so people, that's like some people wrote in support of me, some people wrote in support of her, but something that most people were agreed on was basically just that I was willing to do anything for the sake of a joke.
Yeah. And you admitted that you.
I am, and that's a character flaw, But I also look at it as that's kind of what the show's about, no? And she is a comedian, so I was like, okay, come on, that was my excuse at the time. But I'm still working through the feelings with that I feel about it, because I feel like I should have, at some level, maybe I should have behaved differently. But at the end of the day, I had to choose between kind of probably the podcast and her feelings. And I think I chose the podcast because I'm the producer of that show, and I feel like I owe something to the listeners, and to the rest of the people around the table. It's not just her, right? And so I would do the same thing again. See, that's the hard thing. It's like I'm going to apologize, but I would actually do the same thing again.
Would you have done it differently at all?
I would have done it differently.
Okay, so it wouldn't have been the same thing.
That's true.
Yeah. So you would have done it differently. You would have handled it in a different way.
Would have handled it slightly differently, but probably the end result would have been similar. But I can't really predict that, so I guess I have to just apologize to her about maybe I could have handled it more delicately.
Are you afraid of her?
I'm a little afraid. Yeah. I'm a little afraid of her, but because she did threaten me, so it's a little scary. But what am I trying to say? Oh, so anyway, so someone wrote in this week to Sex on Kava, and or actually wrote in a couple weeks ago, but we just read it this week on the air.
Right.
And this person, it's all anonymous on the internet. This person had a screen name, but I don't know who it is or anything. And they said they called me a narcissist, and then this person said that my brain is probably fried from all the drugs I did, and I should go back on drugs. I was like, wow. I'm like a recovering addict. It's like someone calling and saying, I hope you get cancer again. I hope your cancer relapses. It's like scary.
Terrible.
It is terrible.
Could it have been Mimi?
Could it have been her?
Yeah.
I joked that maybe that would be what it was, but I hope not. No, I don't think so.
No, probably
not. But someone supporting her, maybe one of her friends.
Could be.
Or one of her fans. Someone who likes her on the air, and we all liked her on the air. I liked her on the air. But yeah, so I was like, wow, am I a narcissist? And a couple people this week on the podcast were like, yeah, I can see it. Are
you?
I don't know. And you know what else? Okay, so I had a couple things happen in succession here. Yeah. So that happened, and then the next a day or two later, I'm taking this sketch writing course now at the Villain Theater in Miami, which is kind of cool because you get to learn how to write Saturday Night Live type sketches. And so you sit in this writer's room.
That's really cool. I like that. That's great.
You pitch your sketches. Yeah. Right. And then I hate this, but the way we start, I just found this out, but this is the second class. But the way we're going to be starting every class is we each pitch a sketch, and then everyone votes on it to see which sketch we're going to include in the final show. And I'm like, oh man, this is like an awful feeling, because it's like literally, I'm like, I love this sketch that I came up with. I think it's really funny. Right. And then people talk about it, and some people will say it's funny, some people say it's not funny, but then everyone votes, and all the voting is open, so you can see who's voting for your sketch and who's not. Wow. And then also, you have to vote for other people's sketches. Right. So it's this complex game that I wasn't even expecting, where it's like, I have to be like, I was like, wait a minute, if I vote for this person's sketch, even though I like it, then that's one more vote for their sketch, and their sketch is really good. Their sketch might get in instead of mine. And so you start trying to shade it in. So I'm like, how can I? Yeah, I'll vote for the one that's the worst, so that right. Well, I did actually vote for the. We had to get to vote for 4, so I did actually vote for the 4 that I thought were the best, just on their own merits. But it was a struggle. I was like, man, I want to try to fix the ballot. I want to stuff the ballot box here, And then also, I think my sketch got voted down. I can't actually remember now. Someone told me it was still in, and someone else told me it was voted down. So I don't even know. But I was just like, wow, I really want to do this sketch. I think it's really funny, and it's just frustrating. I'm like, Seinfeld. That when they used to write the sketches, their writers had to come in with two jobs. They had to pitch 2 sketch each time they came in. So you had 6 writers, and each of them had to pitch 2 different sketches. And so they storylines, yeah. And so they would go on with it, and they said it was incredible pressure, because Larry David and would be, I don't get it. Right. and they said, it was just really tough. It was really, really hard. Yeah. So I can imagine that's. I mean, and here there's no stakes. That's Seinfeld. Yeah. So there's high stakes, but this is just we're going to perform this show for it'll probably be $5 or $7 to get in, and we're going to perform it once live. So, but I'm like, I want my sketches to be in there.
And right,
I'm
exactly.
funnier than anyone, you know. And I was talking about this with someone. I was like, another comedian, and I was like, I hate this. Like I'm funny. I don't think anyone else is that funny. Is as funny as me. I'm the funniest one, you know. And I'm like, or I mean, like maybe not, but it's just. And someone's like, well, it's kind of like if you're sitting around with comedians and you're pitching your joke. Right. And then someone's like, that's not funny. And I said, no, it's not like that. Because if you're a stand-up comic and you're talking about your jokes with other comedians and they think it's not funny, you can be like, you know what? You're wrong. I don't care what you think. I'm going to go on stage and do it myself and I'll make it funny. And you can do that. But if it's a sketch show, you have to work as a team.
Right.
So you actually have to sell people on your sketch. Even if you know what I mean, like it's like you have to work. It's teamwork. I'm like, this is awful. So I'm like, maybe I am a narcissist because like I want to be the one who decides everything that's funny on stage, and like you get to when you're a stand-up comic.
Right. Well, but no, you don't.
You do.
You're not the end all. You're just making the statement, and whether you reach over and people laugh, I mean, they're going to tell you whether it is.
It's true. Ultimately, I guess the audience is in charge.
You have no control.
But
absolutely none.
Yeah, and if when you fail, it all falls on you and all that sort of thing. But it's very different kind of performance because you also might do something 10 times and fail with it, but if you believe in it and you're like, this really is funny, you maybe eventually you find a way to make it funny.
Right.
So it's really about stand-up comedy is almost about like just believing you're right when no one else will believe you're right. Seriously, that's a lot of it comes down to that. It seems like it's just like almost this narcissistic tenacity, you know, narcissistic grit. You know, there's some grit there too. In the face of adversity, you're like, no, I'm funnier. I'm funnier than everyone. Yeah, you just hold on to that idea.
Yeah, I've told jokes at different times and they just don't go anywhere, and you just keep going. You know, you just keep going.
From the pulpit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have some line that you think is hysterically funny and very clever, and you say it, and it just crickets.
But the difference, you know, is like if I make a joke on stage and no one laughs, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But if you make a joke and, you know, it doesn't work, then someone goes to hell. That's one less soul you've saved, Pastor.
No.
One less soul.
I usually...
The only one laughing is Satan.
That's right.
He's like, yes, I've got one more.
No, I usually acknowledge it. You know, I'll go like, I thought that was really funny. It looked good on paper. I don't know what happened.
Right.
You know? And
That'll usually get a laugh too. Cause some people are
then they feel for you.
Yeah, they feel for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got pain too.
Right. But I had this experience. So it's like, these people are saying this this person said this on the podcast. People are like, you are kind of a narcissist. And I was like, oh my God, I am kind of, because I do tend to, what it is like, I tend to think that, like we were talking about that thing where people, I think we talked about it on here where these guys were saying like, what if someone spit on you?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know. I would like literally turn the other cheek. Like I just don't care. I would just keep going. And I thought about that and I'm like, well, it's because I'm a pacifist and it's because, you know, I don't want to get pulled into violence. And then I thought, you know what? Like part of it is that I actually just don't think that other person matters very much. Like, cause really I'm like, who's that person spitting on me? Like, that's like a no one. You know, like I just keep walking. Like my day doesn't change. I'm still as amazing and awesome as I always was. You know, like I just have some spit on my face. I'll just wipe it off. Like seriously, that's part of what it is. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I don't need your opinion to matter to me.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, and then we talk about that on the podcast. I'm like, maybe I'm a narcissist, and then I have this experience where I go to this writers meeting, and I'm like, you know what? I'm funny, and I can't believe you guys aren't voting for my sketch. Like, this is ridiculous. You know, I got like angry inside, you know, or hurt inside, and I'm like, wow, maybe I have some issues with narcissism.
Well, how do you think that affects your spirituality? If you
it's more like that. It's symptomatic.
But I mean, if you really are a narcissist, how does that affect your spiritual walk?
Well, if you really are a narcissist, if one really is a narcissist, let's say, then I think it would be very difficult to have a spiritual walk.
Right. Yeah.
Although you said that you didn't think I was one.
No, I don't. Not until you started this.
Tell me how great I am. Come on, Pastor. Tell me how great I am. Tell me why I'm not.
You are so good now.
Oh, this is great. Keep going.
That's it.
Slow down.
No, you know,
Rocky. You know, tell me how great I am, Rocky. He's so,
You know,
such a
this
good dog.
opens,
He's so
this
quiet.
opens the doors to so many issues.
Right? Well, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you know, has that always been something within your life that has been this connection to even your relationships with women and that you really want to know that I'm really good?
Yeah, I'm selfish, and I have a tendency towards this. I really do.
How does it help recovery?
Well, you know, I realize that I feel like there's two kinds of addicts. You know,
I mean,
two
I think
kinds
there's
of
about 3 or 4 steps that this crushes.
in the 12 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of stuff that's supposed to be ego destroying in the 12 steps. It didn't take Pastor.
Take yet. We're still working on it.
No, you know what? It's true though. Like this stuff. You might as well ask, when you ask how does this affect your spirit, how does this affect your spiritual walk? You might as well ask, how does this affect your recovery?
I think they both.
Those things are in a lot of ways synonymous for me. And
so how does that affect that?
Well,
is this a healthy thing for?
I'll tell you what, man.
Ethan.
No, if I'm narcissistic, then I'm unhappy.
Right.
You know? But okay.
And so why are you unhappy?
It's like you're tricking me into a corner here. Well, I'm unhappy because I'm narcissistic. No, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm unhappy, but I would say that I'm. If I am narcissistic, or the more I let myself become narcissistic, then the unhappier I get. That's for sure. Yeah. So I have to be like aware of this tendency and get away from it.
And so your spiritual walk, and it involves you doing yoga, it involves you doing meditation, and sometimes you get away from those things, and sometimes that probably is not the healthiest thing for you.
Well, the thing about yoga and meditation is that they're sort of solitary, right? Well,
when you do yoga, don't you do it with other people?
Yes, that's true. There's a bunch of hot chicks in this yoga studio. But beautiful, hot Latina girls. I love South Florida. Yeah. It's great to do yoga here.
Do you wear the glasses?
I wear the sunglasses. I have no shirt on though, so the effect is even more powerful. No, but I would say that, but it is. It's sort of a solitary thing. It's like I don't talk to anyone when I do the yoga. You know, I listen to the instructor and I do the movements.
Right, but before and afterwards and stuff like that.
No, even then.
Really?
I don't care about those people.
Yeah. Just get out of the way. I want to see myself in the mirror,
peasants. Please. Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, well, it's weird because you go in and it's sort of like a meditative atmosphere, and like I don't feel like it's like sort of a chatty, small talky kind of.
Yeah, but doesn't your brain say a lot of things back and forth? You know, you kind of look over at somebody, you ask questions about. No. What do you think when you walk in? What happens with that kind of inner dialogue?
I just think.
Does it just stop?
No, of course it goes, and then you go through it, and you get more aware of your emotions. And I mean, a lot of the things I'm talking about today, like just the narcissism thing, are things that I've been thinking about in yoga. You know, so I get more aware of my emotions for sure. But what I was going to say is that the thing about yoga and meditation and even prayer is that these are, I would say, despite the fact that you might do them around other people sometimes, more or less these are solitary spiritual activities. And I think for me, if narcissism is one of my challenges, or let's just not say narcissism because that's like definitely pathological.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's like a personality disorder. But let's say that I have some tendencies towards selfishness. Okay. But I would agree with that for sure. If you said, Ethan, you're a narcissist, I would say, okay, I don't think so, but I could see what you mean. Right. And if you said, Ethan, you have some issues with selfishness, I'd be like, you're right, and I'm working on them.
And those are good, but to have the ability to see the things in you that you go, I need to work on this. And maybe being alone is not a bad thing. I've always found that being alone, silent and quiet, there was always something. I dealt with the issues that maybe were being covered up by the noise, you know? Right. I saw an artist the other day, he had a white alligator head, and he had headphones on it, and he called it alligator noise. That we get to a point that we have so much noise that we become alligators, that we bite at people, we yell, we argue, that the noise needs to be brought down, that we need silences.
It sounds like gibberish.
It was great.
Alligator noise. Okay.
Yeah, alligator noise.
No. Well, okay. No. All right. That's true, and I agree. That's what yoga does. Is it helps you filter through that noise a lot of times and get to like where your it's really about emotions to me. It's like just figuring out like where your emotion, like how did that make me feel? You know, like why did I feel upset?
Right. It
when
allows you to...
right?
Yeah.
Why did I feel upset when my sketch got voted down? It's like, oh, well, because I thought that I was better than anyone else. And then I'm like,
my baby.
right. And then I'm like, well, why do I think that? I mean, this is a group effort, right? Like, why don't I feel good? Because I contributed to other sketches.
Right.
And I helped
Yeah,
other people with their ideas. Why am I not satisfied with that? Answer. You're a narcissist, Ethan. No. So what I was going to say about the spiritual pursuits, right? So we're talking about, I mean, the topic here is spiritual grit part 2,
Right,
I guess.
yeah.
And we're talking about, so to me, to bring this all home, yes, I need to get up and do yoga. Yes,
Right.
I need to get up and meditate, and I need to pray. I need to do these sort of solitary spiritual pursuits in order to get in touch with my emotions. However, the other thing I need to do, and the thing that I will struggle with, maybe even more, is the other aspect of spirituality is reaching out to other people.
Right. So how do you do that?
Helping other people. I don't know. I thought about it, and I haven't really been doing it very much lately. Or I have, in the sense of, I'll talk to someone. Maybe I'll hang out with someone at a mic and try to help someone with a joke.
Right.
Or maybe I'll.
Why don't you come to the soup kitchen with us and feed?
I haven't done that in a while. I've been so busy.
Well,
Because it was this Sunday thing where I was.
But you can do that on Wednesday or Sundays.
You're doing it on Wednesday?
Yeah.
My Sundays are full. I can do it on a Wednesday.
Wednesday evening, we do it 5:00. We go down to the beach and feed down there, and you could do it, and you would be breaking the law. So it'd be.
Is it every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday.
All right, I'll do that. So that's something I need to do. The other thing is I'm in my recovery program. I'm actually on the 11th step, which is prayer and meditation.
Right.
Fun, oddly enough, but I'm about to go to the 12th step, which is where I have to start helping other alcoholics.
And so, are you excited about that? That's kind of a...
I'm kind of terrified of it, and I always have been since the beginning, because I'm not as terrified as I used to be.
Right.
Because at the beginning, I was just like, wow, when I came in, I was such a mess. Like when I started doing recovery, I'm like, I'm a mess. Like, how would I even possibly, how is my sponsor even handling me? I don't even know. And then I would think like, well, how could I handle someone as well as my sponsor handled me?
Well, and your sponsor did or does handle you well.
That's true. It's true.
Because he seems to cut through all the stuff.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is like, actually, so it's like I'm sort of like respect his intellect.
Yeah.
And he's like a really intellectual guy, but he's kind of learned how to be more in touch with his emotions, and he's learned to be like dumber, which is like what I aspire to be dumber, And I mean that in the sense of like, I don't know, what is it like Jesus talked about like being like a child or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's in that sense that I mean that, in other words, like rather than having all these intellectual pretensions, like getting through to the truth,
right,
and the emotions, which is what we're talking about with meditation.
Yeah, he's more interested in the truths than proving. It's not a debate. It's not how can I debate this person. It's let's get to the truth.
Right, but in order to be able to shut down me thinking my way around him, he has to be able to outthink me in the first place. So then I he had to do that for the first 6 months. You would have to like run in the circle, in the intellectual circle with me, and then like shoot down all my arguments.
Right.
And then eventually I was just like, okay, like this is just my ego. Like, why am I even trying to come up with arguments?
Right.
Why don't I just do what he says? And I didn't always still do what he said, but I realized that I should do what he says, and I started to do it more often.
Okay, so I've got a guy that I want you to work with.
You're assigning me some 12-step work?
I'm dead.
If you're listening, the 12 step is basically where you carry the message of like AA or NA or whatever your 12-step recovery program is to other people and try to help them with the same problem.
This guy gets out of his rehab place next couple of weeks, and he was in the midst of going to a seminary to become a Catholic priest.
Wow.
And he came out. And when he came out...
He came out of the seminary?
He came out that he is a gay man.
Oh, he came out of the closet.
Came out of the closet, yeah.
Okay.
We don't use the word closet much anymore.
It's funny then you said like, he was in the seminary and then he came out. I'm like, he graduated?
He came out. No, he came out and the seminary asked him to... that maybe this wasn't the calling for him. But he's tremendously... just 170 IQ, brilliant guy. But he's going to have problems with the recovery because He is pretty smart, and he thinks his way around it.
That's what my sponsor said to me. It was the first thing he said. He was like, okay, so we sat down for the first time, and he said, okay, tell me your story. And I told him my story, and he's like, two things. First thing is, you said a lot of things in this story that are horrible and terrible that happened to you and that you did, and you had no emotion attached to them. You're not in touch with your emotions. And number two, you're smart. You're intellectual. You're a really smart guy. That's going to hurt you.
That's going to hurt. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And it's funny, those are still the things I struggle with. I'm still like, it's a little bit of like intellectual arrogance I have. And I'm like, I'm smarter than these people in my improv class. I can come up with a better sketch, And then the other thing is like, just, I'm not in touch with my emotions sometimes.
Yeah. Come feed the homeless with me and sit down and talk with them afterwards. And
he's coming to he's coming to
this young man. He'll be here. Yeah.
He'll be at the homeless feeding.
He won't be at the homeless feeding, but he'll be here on campus next week.
Oh my God! Wow. Hey, look at you. You're assigning me 12 step work. This is
I'm just asking maybe you have a chance.
My sponsor asked my sponsor. But no, I mean, like, how can I say no? That's one of those things where they tell you they teach you not to say no in AA. I'm gonna have to view this as the hand of providence, I guess.
It could be, because I've been thinking about how do I get him involved here, and you're the perfect person. This is a God moment. This is one of the things.
This is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Take this cup from me.
You will be.
My hand shakes. My voice quavers. Get my brother Aaron. Come on, Pastor. Get my brother Aaron.
That's right. I stutter.
Yeah, I'm slow of speech. Wow. All right. Well, So look at this. Okay. Topics covered today include spiritual grit. So get out there and do it.
Right.
And here you are telling me to do it. Narcissism. Get outside yourself and help someone else. And here you are telling me to help someone else. Wow.
And providing that person for you. How about that?
Look at that.
That's cool. That was all God stuff.
It's like that ram that came so that Isaac's throat didn't get slit.
That's right. Look, there's.
Do you believe that story?
Yes, as a metaphor. Yeah.
Do you think he was crazy?
I think that would scare me if my dad was going to kill me like that. Yeah.
That's not the answer. Yeah, you gave me Isaac's perspective.
Well, it would scare me. That would.
Do you think the old man was?
I think it was a metaphor.
Not so.
I think it was about committing your commitment to God and wherever God leads you. And in making it that sometimes you kind of go, it's just crazy. I don't believe God's leading me this way, but God really is. Didn't think I'd be at this church.
Wow.
God led me here.
Kierkegaard called it a leap of faith, right?
Oh, big leap.
He said Abraham transcends he's the knight of faith. He transcends the ethical and the aesthetic.
It's good.
It's like the call of God comes and you kill your son even though it's morally wrong because it's more important. The theological is more important than the ethical.
Well, I think the issue with him killing his son, or the possibility of him killing his son, was that he made an absolute... And what did God do? God stopped him. God said, no.
Well, that's a cop-out. It doesn't matter whether God stopped him or not. He was ready to do it. Isn't that the point of the story?
Are you committed to follow God anywhere? Yep.
Pastor, I want you to go to Mount Moriah and take Rocky here, this cute little dog, right. And I want you to make him as a burnt offering.
Okay.
You ready, Rocky? You ready to go to Mount Moriah?
He's not real happy.
He does not look happy about Mount Moriah. He says, where's the sacrifice going to come? God will provide.
Don't worry.
Says Pastor Dwayne. All right. Well,
this was good. This was good, man.
Good episode. Wow. You've assigned me some 12-step work.
Yep.
And I'm terrified.
Okay, we're ready.
Really, yeah.
But we'll hear about it later.
I don't know. It's anonymous, isn't it?
Oh, you don't have to mention anybody's name.
All right. I guess we can try to discuss it without using names. All right. Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening. You can follow Pastor Dwayne at the Sanctuary Church here.
Right.
Tell them about that.
You can see us. We actually have Periscope. We're on every Sunday in Periscope, which is really great. The Sanctuary Church with that, and also you can follow us on our website, which is sanctuarychurchftl.org, and you can like us on Facebook. That's the Sanctuary Church FTL.
There you go. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at Ethan is not funny. I'm still touring. I'm actually bringing the Butch and Femme comedy tour. If you like stand up,
When is that?
and you want to see stand up here in Fort Lauderdale,
Yep.
we are doing our first show here in Fort Lauderdale ever. We've done it in Savannah, Jacksonville, Charleston, Daytona Beach, and St. Petersburg. So we've done it in 5 cities, and now we're bringing it to Fort Lauderdale.
And how was it received in those 5
Very
cities?
well.
Yep.
Very well. Yeah. And we do it's me and Anna Lepley. We each do about half an hour of stand up, and then we do a song together, and we have a little banter. We're going to have some cool comedians opening for us. We actually have a drag queen who's going to host the show.
Oh, how nice. And what are you wearing that night?
Anna wants me to wear a wig and put lipstick on at the end of the night. We'll see if she can
She wants you to
She wants me to dress in drag. We'll see if she can get me to do it.
If you want to, wherever makes you feel comfortable, we're all behind. Okay?
Thank you.
So
I
don't
appreciate
worry,
your
there's
support. But that show, if you're interested in all these things that we just mentioned, that show is going to be Friday, September 9th at Awanakava Lounge,
Okay.
which is 2762 East Oakland Park Boulevard, right here in Fort Lauderdale.
That sounds great.
I'll see you there, Pastor.
I will be there.
Will you really?
Yes, I will.
Okay, listeners, you heard it here first. The pastor is committing to come to another show of mine.
I know. You know what? It's a Friday night. It's good.
It's a Friday night. You can make it.
Yep,
Friday night
you
at
can make
9.
Friday nights. Yep, that's
Okay.
good.
All right, cool. Also, one last thing before we go. Please give us a rating and review on iTunes.
Right.
So if you're listening to this, go to your podcast app on your iPhone and search the podcast, click on the podcast, and then click to ratings and reviews. Give us 5 stars and write a little review. We would really appreciate that.
That would be great. Thanks.
Also, you can follow us on Facebook.
That's right. And if you want to contact us, how do you contact us?
You can contact us and write us and let us know whether I'm a narcissist or, if you have questions about Rocky and his ultimate fate here or anything else you want to know. This cute little dog is he's licking my other arm now.
He loves you.
He loves to lick my arms. It's great. If you want to know about Rocky, the show's mascot, he's the show's Jesus Christ That's Funny, his mascot. You can write us at jesuschristthat'sfunny@gmail.com.
Great.
We'd love to hear from you. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the podcast.